Hello, Old School Gamer 1971 here, greetings one and all, especially to you, Millie and Lloyd. Today, my third hour thoughts is on Remothered, Tormented Fathers. I've been playing this game for around 3 hours, and this is what I think. Remothered, Tormented Fathers is by Stormmind Games. It's a survival horror game, came to the PlayStation 4 in 2018. Does this be a sequel? No, not at all. Somehow this is their first game. However, anyone who liked Silent Hill, Siren or Forbidden Siren, in fact Kichiro Toyama, hopefully I got that right, creator of both aforementioned games, bigged this game up big time. It is also considered by some to be the spiritual successor to Clock Tower 3. So let's have a look at this developer's rap sheet. I find it hard to believe that this is Stormmind's first game. Stormmind Games are an Italian developer based in Catalonia. They claim that they develop story-driven games, so let's see how this one plays to see if they are right. As well, this is the first game in a planned trilogy. I'm going to tell you a story. You play as Rosemary Reed, a 35-year-old woman who is investigating the disappearance of Celeste Felton. Your first protocol is the Felton house, where her father, Richard Felton, resides. The game is set in 1973, but being narrated today by Madame Svenska. I guess it might be Rosemary Reed, but that's only a guess. And an unseen man, Manny. The game has many twists and turns, some of which are more twisted than others. And whilst I don't want to spoil the experience, I can tell you that it will be over in 3 to 5 hours, so it's not a long game. So is this Remothered Tormented Fathers, or is it Rebothered Retented Fatness? So how are those games chat-up lines, also known as the intro? Starts off today with a man called Manny who is interviewing a woman, Madame Svenska. She starts up a record player and this causes her to start recollecting a promise she had made a long time ago, to return. She had been living in Sweden for around 30 years. The song is really cool, and then it goes back to 1973. You see a missing persons poster with Celeste on. Then it moves on to a montage of a playground before seeing a van nearby. Inside sits Rosemary Reed. She has a case file and a picture of Celeste. She is smoking whilst listening to the radio. She switches it off and steps outside the van. She has the look of the character Clarice Starling from Silence of the Lambs. Love the suit. She is looking into the distance, and then we get the title scene. It tries to make you jump, but it's still a cool touch even if it doesn't. Then we step into Rosemary's shoes and the game begins. It's a fantastic opening and does set the mood for the rest of the game, which I finished in around 3 hours. Okay, is it a looker or a bit of a munter? This is another outstanding looking indie title. The shadows and light are so very well done, adding to that building atmosphere, as are the character models. The textures also give it a nice layer of polish. Whilst not up to the lofty standards set by Red Dead Redemption 2, it is more than passable. The in-game is as good as the cutscenes, it even has reflections on the puddles. This has impressed me because it was unexpected. This is a good looking game with smooth animation that even tries to do facial expressions. It looks like a survival horror game and even has the correct colour palette for 1973, as in the clothing and decor. Stylistically, it's a 1970s Italian horror movie. Argento comes to mind. The killers also look damn fine. The first one wears wellies and an apron and nothing else. So far, all the signs are good to this being a great game. So is this a head bopper? A toe tapper? The musicality in this game is great. The voiceover at the beginning is pretty good. The voices fit the personas pretty damn well. There was definitely emotion present in the performance. But for me at least, it was once the music started. It's the 70s horror thing again. The music reminds me of the films of old. The sound overall is just so spot on. The title screen is both loud and abrasive. The ambient sound brings it together nicely. The rain on the window, thunder and lightning also set the mood. Every now and again, the record starts to play the Svenska song. There is only one room it can be in, and it sets you on edge because that means something has changed. Even the intercom sounds authentic. It's these little nice touches like the dog barking in the distance, or the sound of smoking, or the noise of adjusting the mirror on the van. It all comes together nicely. It's good to see a company putting such effort into the sound.
No! Leave me alone!
This house is not open to the So, you like to go around and rummage in other people's things. Would you like to...
How does this bad boy play? Now we could quite easily say it's an improved version of the Clock Tower 3 game engine. The one thing that is different, however, is the removal of boss fights. I did worry at first that this might have been a bit of a misstep, but not if you look at the bigger picture. It means the story can take front and centre. Also worth a mention is the movement. For me, it has a comedy run, also another nod to Clock Tower 3, which I do like. The game is a joy to play. The map is on the small side. It has limited hiding places. Sometimes you're being chased for minutes at a time because of this. It's rather good as there is defensive weapons, real-time events when caught, and there's also distraction stuff. This is pretty good, and with good sprite detection, makes those chases a hell of a lot of fun. This is a solid build of a game, and because you can't really hurt the enemies until the end, before then you can only stagger them, it does really add to the atmosphere. So what are the characters born of Shakespeare, or just the back end of a year 2 donkey in nativity? Being honest, this does deserve a mention. From Madame Svenska, an elderly lady that seems to have secrets, dodging the question as to her real identity. The interviewer, Mr. Manny, a man whose face is mostly hidden from us, nor do we know what the interview he is having with Madame Svenska is really about. Rosemary Reed, who appears to be an investigator. She seems that she will do absolutely anything to find out what is going on. The missing daughter, Celeste. There is missing posters and a file. This is the reason Rosemary went to the Felton house. Richard Felton, an elderly man who is ill. Whilst his daughter is missing, there is something that he is hiding. Nurse Gloria, the chief caregiver. She says that Mrs. Felton looks after Mr. Felton when she is off. But where is Mrs. Felton? and the mysterious Jennifer. She is the unknown person in our little piece. When you finally meet her, she seems strange to say the least. Each of the characters has a real character, whether they play the big role or the small. Each have a part to play in this story. What I like, however, is it's not overacted. Yes, being chased you do get out of breath, but it's not overdone. The game's script keeps it interesting. The killers shout out and curse when you keep hiding. You can also hear them talk to themselves sometimes when they lose you completely. So does the atmosphere hit you full force in the face? In short, yes. It starts at the beginning and doesn't let up until the very end. Right from the beginning it has you asking questions, and some get answered and some don't, which is fine as we're on the first part of a trilogy. But it's the moment the chase starts, the thunderstorm, the record player playing. When you've been chased for over a minute and you're looking for a defensive weapon just in case, the whole game feels and is survival horror. Now you would have thought that this would have been the easiest part for any survival horror game, but not always. I love Clock Tower 3 and always hope for a remake. Now I don't need it. The deeper this gets into the story, the better the story gets. I suppose if this is the only game, the ending might seem a little weak, just because there's too many unanswered questions. However, if there is no sequels, it is pretty much self-contained and it does maybe stand alone, but it would be slightly disappointing. So does it warm my cockles after 3 hours? Man, this is hell of a game. I only have the collectibles trophy to go. There's no platinum here, before the game is completely done. Some of those collectibles will reveal more of the story. In a way, I hope all the questions don't get answered. It is well written and the game does leave you feeling satisfied by the end. By the end, it felt like Italian horror at its very best. Warped. The story kept me interested throughout. This game gels together really well. As well, I look forward to seeing what the next games bring. This exceeded my expectations. The enemies felt a threat. The game feels like a horror title, and yes, it could be the spiritual successor to Clock Tower 3. Is that such a bad thing? The games I've been playing recently do seem to just get better and better. At some point I've got to pick up a dud somehow. So Remothered, Tormented Fathers, it most certainly is. So that about wraps it up. I hope you all have a good day. If this has been helpful in any way, like, comment, share and subscribe if you would, as it helps the channel grow and makes an old man happy. I post new videos every week. Please let me know what you think down below in the comments. Old School Gamer 1971 signing off.